Here's a preview of what you'll hear on this episode of Beyond the Wheel.
The customers are a lot more involved in the builds. So let's say, for example, there's like a few different places where we could put a couple disconnect switches, or, hey, we could put the color control GX here. And, they can really have a big say as to, how they want their system installed, as well as they get to approve everything before we kind of start drilling or making any holes anywhere. They can see it before we kind of start it.
Now enjoy the show.
You are listening to Beyond the Wheel, a podcast about the people and ideas that drive the RV community forward.
This episode is brought to you by Battleborn Batteries. Battleborn batteries are the best name in the RV and marine industry. These batteries are designed to replace your existing lead-acid batteries. They come in a variety of dimensions and amp-hour capacities. This ensures there's a Battleborn battery that is right for your needs. These batteries are backed by a 10-year warranty, allowing you to get out there and stay out there. The best solution for your battery anxiety.
Whether your adventure is on the road, on the water, or off the grid, Battleborn batteries keep you out there longer.
With the complexity of all the systems in an RV, I always say it's not if something's going to break, but a matter of when is something going to break. That is why I think an extended warranty for RVs is so important. We first interviewed wholesale warranties back in 2019 and immediately became impressed with how their policies worked, such as you can take your RV to any licensed repair shop, including mobile repairs. They also have personalized service plans, making sure you are getting the right policy for your needs. And if you think your RV is too old for a policy, you might be surprised to hear that RVs up to 20 years old can still be approved for a policy. That is more age lenient than most RV parks I've stayed at. Go to wholesalewarranties.com/beyond the wheel or click the link down below in our show notes to get your free quote today.
In this episode, we talk with Jordan, the founder of Echo One Adventures. This is a unique company in that they have rental RVs outfitted with various levels of off-grid capability that customers can rent to see if their comforts are met. Then Jordan and his team can take the customer's RV and outfit it with the off-grid technology they want. Because he is one of Battleborn's recommended installers, we know he is good at what he does. So let's hear more from Jordan about this company.
Hey Jordan, thanks for joining us today. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your role at Echo One Adventures?
Hey, Kenny. Yes, sir, I can. So I am the owner-operator of Echo One Adventures, as well as the primary solar installer. So, we do everything from solar systems, inverter upgrades, battery system upgrades, lithium conversions, and off-grid power systems.
And Jordan, what year did you start Echo One Adventures, and how would you best describe it, like in your 30-second pitch?
The year we started was, 2016. It was under a different company name that I started, JM Auto Styling, because I was really big into the overland and vehicle-based expedition travel. But we rebranded in 2018, and maybe the 30 seconds elevator pitch is we do everything that is tedious and hard that nobody else wants to deal with. That's our specialty. So, we started out doing vinyl wraps, and now we're doing the more tedious work of the electrical system upgrades and stuff like that.
Have you ever wrapped an entire RV or no?
I've never done an entire RV. I've done a few truck bed campers in the trucks to they would work in unison with the wrap, but not quite a full RV.
Yeah, I imagine that is tedious and something nobody would want to do.
Right. Yeah. So we started out with that. I did window tint and accessories for Nissan in high school, and then it kind of just snowballed to car audio, then to vinyl wraps, paint protection film, and then started getting into more of like the off-road, off-grid type of, travel. That's how I like to camp, and started out on my journey. And then I started out with the cargo trailer build, and then now I'm in a couple of campers now, and I wanted to be able to power everything.
Would you say that's the inspiration for you to start the company, is that you enjoy that type of lifestyle?
Yeah, I would say absolutely. I've always been a huge fan of camping, ever since I was real little with my grandfather. We'd go out and we would, take the tents and stuff. And then in high school, I had a truck with a camper shell. And then I started camping out in the bed of the truck. And then I remembered, it was, kind of a pain in the butt to pack everything up if I wanted to move to another site. So then I, started looking into the rooftop tents, but then they flap quite a bit and it's hard to get a good night's sleep in the wind with those. And then I built a cargo camper and it had a bed, I had a full kitchen, running water. And I think I started out with like some deep cycle batteries, like Optima yellow tops. And it was like one panel. And I was like, well, this isn't cutting it. So then I started to explore a little bit more into the power system and was like, oh, lithium is absolutely the way to go. Then it was like, I want to have a bathroom and I would like to have a shower. So that I got my first camper and just kind of progressively been upgrading over the years to fine tune my style of camping the way I like.
I was going to say upgrading. That sounds like what you're doing. You keep on reinventing or upgrading yourself.
Right. Yeah. I'm just figuring out what I like best and what works best for me, at least.
You mentioned a word that I've never heard before anyway, or a term cargo camper. Is that a cargo van that you turned into a camper?
So it's actually a cargo trailer that me and my buddy Tristan with Steelhouse Fab, he started coming up with these really cool modular systems that you could move around in a cargo trailer. At the time, I was living at home still, so I had a lot of camping gear. My mom was like, you got to get it out of the garage. So I made a rolling garage, and it was really great because when I wanted to go camping, I can just kind of pull some stuff out. And if I needed the cargo trailer to go take out the dirt bikes or something, we just roll the dirt bikes in real easily. And it had like a Murphy bed system that would just flip down when we were ready to go to sleep. And it was just perfect for, fresh out of high school type of camping. And if we wanted to go, take our trucks off-roading, we didn't have to move camp, entirely or pack everything up at least.
Okay, very cool. And then I'm not trying to keep on jumping in here, but I first met you at Overland West Expo, and you were telling me that we met over at the Battleborn Battery booth, and you were telling me that you actually the way you do your installs is that you will go to the customer, which I don't know if that's a very popular way to do it. So it really caught my attention that you're willing to go travel to, say, a campground or somebody's home to do these installs. Can you talk a little bit about maybe the advantages of doing it that way instead of having the customer come to you?
Sure, absolutely. The first and the real immediate one is less overhead. The shop space to fit, these travel trailers, these fifth wheels, and these Class A's. You need a pretty significant size shop, and then you need the equipment to move them around safely. And then you would need a good team to kind of watch where you're moving these coaches around. So for starters, it's less overhead. Another advantage is the customers are a lot more involved in the builds. So let's say, for example, there's like a few different places where we could put a couple disconnect switches, or, hey, we could put the color control GX here. And, they can really have a big say as to, how they want their system installed, as well as they get to approve everything before we kind of start drilling or making any holes anywhere. They can see it before we kind of start it. And then, we can be a little bit more flexible with the builds. And then they also get to be more involved in regards to, they see how it's coming together. I kind of show them the process, and they kind of get a more in-depth orientation of the system versus a final walkthrough when it's all installed.
So sounds like you do more than just batteries. It sounds like you do the full solar panels, charge controllers, inverters, everything that's related to those types of upgrades. Is that right?
Yes, sir. Yeah, we do everything. We do that. We're starting to look into some more, internet type of options, as well as like cell signal boosting, the micro air easy starts, and, some more like data tracking type stuff to help fine tune your systems. But yes, sir, the whole enchilada, accessory lighting, everything like that.
And so where are you based out of?
So I'm based out of Albuquerque, New Mexico. This is where the home base is for me.
Okay. I imagine you have a radius that you'll travel to in order to do these.
Yeah, I'll travel about 8 hours one-way drive if you really want me to go out there. And then, I can do it at the campground if someone's having a issue while they're on their own adventure or their camping trip. I know how frustrating that can be. So I'll go out there and, try and troubleshoot and fix the problem immediately. And then also, if they have it at a storage facility here in town and they know it's their coach is safe and secure there, they feel more comfortable with me coming and doing it. And I have a pretty good relationship with all of the storage facilities in the state. And then I do have 3 full hookup sites here at my house. I'm on a 1/4 acre. So if someone's full timing and they don't want to, move out while I do the install or do any work, they can actually park it up on my slab and plug in and have full hookups.
Oh, that's good too.
Yeah, that's pretty nice.
Yeah. That's just more options. I think that more options is always good. So do you only do like the full installs, Jordan, or I guess I'm asking, is there such a thing as a job too small or a job too big? Like, will you just, if somebody just wants an upgraded inverter, is that something that they would call you for, or is that something that you rather do like a whole system type of thing?
No, I'll do everything. The name says it all for my company. It's Echo One Adventures. I want to be part of everybody's adventure, whether it's big or small, because I'm sure eventually one day they would want to have upgrade that system. I haven't had anyone put in some Battleborn batteries and be like, no, we're just going to stay here. They always want to get more and more because they're so impressed with how it all works. So yeah, everything from just a simple one panel install or a simple inverter, or even just a battery monitoring system, just to see how their lead acids work for them. I'll do everything, big or small.
Okay, cool.
If someone's interested in having Echo One Adventures do their install, do you provide all the materials? Do they have to provide the materials? How does that process work?
We could do it both ways. There's a few occasions where Battleborn will recommend the customer my way, or like send them my way, but they already have a system already purchased. This is where the relationship with us and Battleborn is really nice. We have a huge open line of communication. They're really easy to work with. If they already talked over a system, they kind of just fill me in with the cliff notes and they say, this is what we decided on with the client, and he's already got it. We just need you to come in and put it in. And like at that time, we'll probably just need to order some wire and, some heat shrink, some terminal lugs, just those miscellaneous things. And there's other times where the client might need a more of a one-on-one consultation call. And at that time, I'll take, a good few hours and really talk with them and see, how power hungry they are. And, what is their budget looking like and what are their expectations for their coach? Because if they want to run both ACs, play Xbox all night, they have a residential sized fridge, the expectation is there, but, the budget has to be, like pretty significant to power that for that, length of time. So we do it both ways. If they have everything purchased, I'm more than happy to put it in. And if they want me to just get everything sourced for them through my vendors, I'm more than happy to do that as well. Whichever is easiest for the client. That's the thing that I like to work. It's just, if it's easy, it's a lot easier for them to have fun with the entire process.
So it sounds like you're pretty flexible then on that process.
Yes. Yeah, we're very flexible.
That's pretty cool where you were just saying, though, that a conversation can get started between the customer and Battleborn, and then Battleborn can then recommend you for the install. So that's how your partnership with Battleborn works. That's really interesting. I think that's pretty cool on Battleborn battery side of things too, to know that it's probably beneficial for both of you. It's beneficial for Battleborn that they have somebody in mind that they trust to do the installs, and then it's beneficial for you that a well-known, respected, trusted company is recommending people your way. That's great.
Yeah, it's a great thing. And, I think I was just telling you guys about listening to the previous podcast. And one thing that Sean did say, like they really care about like their brand partner's success and vice versa. And that, I think that's a perfect example of that. It's just super easy to work with. And when they recommend me and I, recommend their product, it just works so perfectly. And the communication is there and the clients usually get exactly what they want, just fine tailored to their needs.
Yeah, that's awesome.
What are some of the like popular upgrades that people want as far as batteries, solar, that type of stuff?
So the most popular lately is, I call it like the whole enchilada, or like they've been saying, throw the kitchen sink at it. People are looking at this from a few different angles. They're like, well, if the economy moves in a certain direction, we want to be able to just move into this just real easily. We don't want to be struggling to get it to work or try and have like a game plan. And then we can do this full time. And at the same time, like I said previously, like if they have just one or two batteries, they always end up upgrading more and more and more. And once they take out another trailer, such as my rental one, and they can see what the system is truly capable of, they typically are like, okay, yeah, like let's do this. Or, we want to be able to run this. Like this was so convenient. It was super fun. It was super laid back, easy. Again, the easy part is the thing that always seems to get them. And I will say, out of all of the clients, the wives are always the one, as soon as that air conditioner kicks on off of the batteries and the inverter, it is like, yep, this is what we're going to do. And it's the whole enchilada.
Sounds like you have an RV of some type that's fully decked out that people can rent and experience it before they buy it.
Yeah, we have two 2022 Forest River Ibex travel trailers. They're just bumper poles, half-ton towables. And they are both equipped with Battleborn power systems. One is a little bit more decked out to like like the whole enchilada. And another one is if you want to start your build, here's the fundamental foundation that I recommend. You can boondock in both of these for a very significant amount of time. And they can take them out, kind of more of a try it before you buy it type thing, because it can become a big investment for your family and your coach.
I think you may be the first person I've ever heard of that does something like that has those available for people to, try it before you buy it. That's a pretty clever idea.
Yeah, I thought it was something that I think would have been pretty popular or is pretty popular, just considering the investments that, after getting some of these new coach prices, they're starting to get up there. And then talking about these power systems and, my labor isn't the cheapest labor in the world to work on your coach for 30, 40 hours. So I could understand that maybe we'll just take a small investment of a couple $100 and we can try it out and see if it's really for us in our camping style.
You had mentioned the hours working on a project. About what is the typical range for you to get a job done for somebody if you were to come out and do it on site?
So that one varies a little bit. Like the Class A's can be a little bit more of a time intrusive just to work around, like the drivetrain and such, and have those other components that are already on board. So those will take a little bit longer. But I just, for example, I guess I just did a previous build with, dual inverters, 6 batteries, just like the 50 amp Battleborn bundle. And that was done and completed in 3 days for a full timer, just for example. And if it's just like a simple solar battery inverter upgrade real fast, I can probably get that done in 1 day.
Are you mounting these in, do you have like a go-to place, or are you just based on what the customer kind of wants, where you'll put the components?
It's where the customer really wants. There's some times where then again, having the customer on site doing these mobily is really beneficial for both of us, because sometimes they want it right next to all of their other switches and cluster of gauges. And I'm like, hey, we can make that happen, but it's going to be a few hours for me to get this wire ran there correctly. Or we could put it here in this location, because most of the stuff now is Bluetooth. And if they're very comfortable with their Bluetooth devices, I'm just like, we can tuck it here. And if, for whatever reason, your Bluetooth isn't working, you can check it out right here, but whichever they prefer at that time. But for most fifth wheels, I typically follow like the same type of, we do everything into that, like underneath that front, like garage bay area. Mm-hmm. And, I kind of run the wires back, and most times pretty straightforward for a majority of the fifth wheels in that department.
I like the idea of the Bluetooth and being able to work with the customer. So do they usually take photos of their rig and then send them to you and say, hey, this is what I have, this is what I was thinking? Is that how the conversation gets started before you drive like 8 hours to them?
Yeah, so the more pictures, the better. There's always I always call it like one gremlin of every build that I do mobily, and it's like the communication is 100%, like telecommunications or like email. And some of the clients, aren't the most tech savvy. So like the pictures come back looking like they were on a Polaroid, and it can be very difficult to decipher the size that we're working with, the dimensions. Everybody's tape measure is, 1 or 2 inches off. And so it can be some hurdles to overcome. But typically I ask them, some very basic questions. I get like the rig, I get where they currently store a lot of their stuff. And I have I have them make a list. I have them talk it over with whoever isn't the coach with them on the most regular basis. I ask them, what are your must-haves? What are we would really like? And what are some, we don't really care. So that way I can kind of start learning their pass-through storage is like very valuable to them. I don't want to push into that space. And, I don't want to design a system around pushing into that pass-through. If that's a must-have is these batteries need to be entirely hidden. The inverter needs to be tucked away, and then it would just be kind of it would just elongate the process overall. So we start with that, and then we, see how power hungry they are. Like, what is like an average night in their coach to them? Is it a couple hours of TV? Do you guys work on the road? And then we can kind of start designing it. That way, then that's where the pictures come in. As many pictures as you can get to me. If it's a newer coach, I can, pull the specs, off the internet pretty quickly, pretty easily. And we can get that stuff squared away pretty fast. If it's an older coach, that's where it's a little bit more difficult. But typically the pictures are pretty solid, and I always have a little bit of a backup game plan, and just take more parts than what we need.
And are you doing all this by yourself, or do you have somebody assisting you when you're doing these installs?
So again, it depends on the build. I have a team of guys that can assist with everything. I have a fabricator. So let's, if we need to make a custom battery tray or like an enclosure, reinforce something for the batteries or the inverters, I have him, and he's a mobile. He also has a mobile welding rig, so we can get that out there and take that. He has everything imaginable on his truck for anything metal related. And then I have a few other guys that are really good, and they're learning a lot more, and they're helping me out significantly, such as, getting the panels on the roof. That's very difficult to do solo. And then you want to make sure you don't, hit the rig when you're trying to get it up there and such. But yeah, depending on how big the build is and what their time frames are. If a client's like, hey, I'm in town for a week and I need this installed, Battleborn's already shipped this out, I then start getting a team together really quickly, and, we make it happen and we get them set on their way within the time frame.
You had mentioned that you did a 50 amp service. What's like the largest off-grid power system that you have installed?
For like coach wise, I mean, those ones are pretty up there. I mean, anywhere from the 6 to 8 100 amp hour batteries with the dual inverters, I would say would be like the biggest in a mobile setting. We have done a few little off-grid tiny home like Airbnbs to where they're entirely self-sufficient little rentals out in, like I think one of them's out in Taos, New Mexico, which is a really popular travel destination. And that one was like a 48 volt, like 10 kilowatt system to power everything. I think that was probably like the biggest one. And I think it was like 2,000 or 3,000 watt solar array, I believe, with that. And those were, at that time, the welder came out and we made custom solar array mounting brackets. So everything would hold up to, they have pretty heavy winters, and they do get some pretty good rainfall and such.
That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, big system.
Yeah, that was a big one.
And so when somebody's going to have you install for them, you'll do all the kind of the legwork before you actually show up. So when you get there, you'll have all of the equipment ready to go, ready to install. Is that right?
Yeah. So the way we do it is someone's coming, from out of state to come see me. Typically we'll have everything shipped here, so that way they don't have to load it up. Every single time though, someone forgets one thing. It's always like one disconnect switch, or, I forgot the battery cable. So we'll get it shipped to wherever we are doing the installation. So if if we're doing it at their house, we'll get it shipped there. If we're doing it at a storage facility, I'll either get it shipped to my place or the storage facility. I have a pretty good relationship with them. They're more than happy to let the pallet get dropped off there and moved over to them. But for the most part, yes, we have everything taken care of. And I have accumulated a pretty large list or extra parts that I always take that always seem to go missing. So I always have extra bus bars. I have extra battery monitor systems, disconnect switches, and I always take extra wire just in case.
And then if somebody who's listening and they wanted to hire you, how far out are you? I'm sure that the sooner they contact you, the better. But if somebody were to contact you today, could you get them in by the end of the summer?
Yeah. So the way I do it is I always keep a little bit of availability for full timers, because I know that that's one significant hurdle for them. If something goes down or they need it fixed and that's their home, I like to try and have always some emergency availability for them and people that are currently, during an adventure. And let's say they're passing through New Mexico, I always will be able to get them in. 10 out of 10 times I've made that happen for full timers or people traveling to get them back on the road again. So if someone, let's say, were to call right after, we finish up here and say, hey man, I really need some help, I would be able to get them taken care of today. To schedule, I'm looking at mid-July right now. And other than that, yeah, I have a lot of availability, because I don't like to schedule out super far in advance, because, there's a lot of variables. People are selling their rigs, they're changing their rigs. So I say, okay, here's what we're going to do. We'll create a file for you. And, if you change your rig, if you change your mind, you change your system, we'll just have this file ready to go. And then it kind of just goes off of whoever has parts coming in, and we have a date locked in. That's how I kind of do it. So everyone gets in and out as fast as possible. So right now I haven't been having to backlog any work into winter. It's just been, I have availability right now for you.
Okay. So you can get people in fairly quickly, because we're recording this actually on July 1st. So you do have a lot of flexibility. I guess that's kind of your whole business structure is being able to be flexible like that.
Yeah, that was I always answer my phone. If I don't, I will get back to you, within the same day, guaranteed. And I will be able to get you in as soon as possible. And the communication with all of the clients is the hardest part, I think. but it's something that I think is like the most important fundamental of my flexibility being a thing, is being able to communicate with all of the clients, because I have clients that come in from out of state, and there's times where I'm going out of state, and I just continually will update and be in talks with them and communication with them and say, hey, like, we haven't had any parts yet, or hey, this part's delayed, are you cool if I bump you back 2 days and we get this person in because their parts are ready to go? And they're like, yeah, like, that's fine. And if we have two bills that land on the same day, well, then that's where the team really comes in and helps out. And we just split up and they take care of one client and I'll take care of the other client. And, that's the glory of being mobile, is, you can do those types of things, versus if you have a shop where you do it, you can kind of get sandbagged with client dropping off, their class A week before. And then you have a few people trying to come in. You really need a significant size shop to handle that type of workflow. But if you're mobile, everyone already has a spot for their own RV.
The products that you use have manufacturer's warranties or guarantees on them. Do you also guarantee or warranty your work?
Yeah. So what we'll typically do is, after I finish the installation, I will we will do a very in-depth orientation on the system, and we will troubleshoot, or we will test everything and make sure it's up to, that it's up to their standards. So before I start a build, I always go through the coach and I test everything electronic as well, like specifically, and go through. And if there's anything that I find that's a little bit defective, I'll tell the clients and we'll both sign off on it and say, hey, like, this is a thing. And if it's something that I think would mess up the installation, or maybe not let the power system work to its, optimal performance, I'll say we should probably remediate this before we start into this. And then once we're done, we do a final walkthrough, and the customer signs off like, hey, yep, everything's working, everything's doing good. And if there is something that comes up, between now and then, every single one of my clients, they get a personal cell phone. They can, call or text me night or day. I get back to them within 24 hours or less. And if they're having an issue, I can help them troubleshoot it. I'm more than happy to take care of any issues that do arise from my work, because I really want to, be a part of their adventure and help them out, make sure that they stay on the road. So anything that does come up will absolutely be just taken care of, no questions asked.
Going back a little bit, we were talking about that you do like the RV rentals. So when you do that, does anybody need to have like RV experience? Are they picking the rental up from you and driving it off, or do you drop it off to them?
So yeah, we do it both ways. We do a lot of deliveries, like the balloon fiesta is a big one where we do like deliveries, because we have people from out of the country or out of the state really coming in, and they like having the camper right there next to the balloon field. And they can pick up the coach and drive off with it. They're fully outfitted with weight distribution hitches, and I get those adjusted and fine-tuned Johnny on the spot. And if they don't have a trailer brake controller, we use the Bluetooth, I think it's the Kurt Bluetooth one for the trailer brake controller. So they have that, and then the hitch has the built-in sway control to help out with it. And they don't have to have any RV experience. I do prefer if they have some type of towing experience, whether it be like some type of cargo trailer, a friend's camper at one time or another, because I can get them up to par on all the systems and how everything works on the inside. But the hard thing is they're 25 feet trailers. Both of them are the exact same size. And if they haven't towed anything, it could be difficult. And I don't like putting them in that unsafe situation. So if they've never towed anything, would be probably my one cutoff. But sense. Outside of that, the RV, I do a full 1 hour orientation when they arrive. I show them how the awning works. I show them how to, connect to the Victron Connect app and read everything on the power system if they're going to be off grid. And then I show them, the different, bells and whistles. And if they're camping in freezing temps, we have the tank heaters. I show them, where to turn them on, at what temperature to turn them on at, and kind of just give them a full rundown of everything.
They're not just rentals for people that are interested in a system. They're rentals really for anybody.
Yeah. Anybody can come and rent it if they just want to go out, for, a lot of family reunions. That's been a new thing. They want to just go out for Memorial Day weekend, and they're not like big campers. And instead of them spending a couple $100 on, tents, sleeping bags, this, that, and the other, they can just come pick up the coach if they have a half ton or bigger tow vehicle. And it comes, with linens. It comes with everything needed. It has an outside kitchen equipped. I send them off with a fire pit, some hammocks. We have inflatable stand-up paddle boards they can take, bike rack. Yeah, I really like it to help be a part of the memories, because I remember, the best memories I had, my brothers, my pops, was we were out there camping. And if I can make it that much easier for somebody else, I think they'll have that same memory. And it's just kind of cool to think to be a part of it.
Yeah, that's awesome. And then for those rentals, Jordan, do they go to your Echo One Adventures? Is it all under the same website?
Yeah, there's a tab on the website where it's RV rentals, and it has 2 hyperlinks, which will take them to, I believe, RV Share right now. They can do the rental process there. I like to use those third parties just because if it is someone that's totally new, it is a third party system that will take their money and hold it, and I don't get any of that money until they are already off on their adventure. I don't want them to think like, oh, I'm pulling a fast one or anything like that. They have their insurance policies that they get generated through that site, so they have coverage for the RV and for the tow vehicle while they are on their adventure. It's just a lot easier to have everything managed that way.
Okay, that's smart. And I got another follow-up question. So you currently have 2 that you're renting out. Do you think that you will increase that?
Probably not. I think 2 is probably the max for me and my team. Just because if we have some that are arriving one day, another one getting ready to go out, and we have to prep and get the other one ready to go, and we have builds, it can become a lot. And just I think I like having the 2 just because it also makes it a little bit easier into we can add these other accommodations a lot better. We can make it a little bit more of a fine-tuned experience for you. They have the bike racks, they have the paddle boards we can easily do. But if you start getting into a bigger fleet, I think that's where we start getting into a lot more wear and tear, and stuff goes missing, and it's just a lot more expensive on the initial upfront expenses for my side of things.
Is there a busier time for the rentals for you?
Yeah, I would say it's like waves. So it never fails. Like 3 days before Memorial Day weekend, I will just get absolutely hounded. And then 4th of July, probably like the day before the 4th, someone's going to try and go to a lake nearby and we get hounded. But for the most part, there's a lot of trips that actually happen throughout the year that I was very surprised to see. And, I thought, oh, well, this is just going to be a summer thing. Like people are going to want to take the coach when I want to try and take the coach. Like maybe this won't be the most beneficial thing, but we'll try it out. And actually hunting season is one of the biggest ones where we get just super busy. So like late October through November into December, like we are like, that's probably the busiest peak season for us.
Probably nice because they're outfitted for boondocking. So hunters probably really like that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And it's pretty cool to be a part of those trips because it's usually like 3 generations of one family that are going to go together. It's like the grandpa's going out with, his son, and his son is taking his son on his first hunt. And they're like, we've had this canvas tent for like 80 years, but Pops is getting up there. We wanted him to, really relax and have a good trip. So, and that's I'd say about 90% of the clients during hunting season is probably that story, replicated over and over again. And they're like, oh man, the heater was awesome. And, taking a shower, not freezing was awesome. And the tank heaters, and we just woke up and our boots were dry, they were warm, and we were able to hit the ground running the next day. And it's pretty cool because I usually get some, like, if they actually, tag out and actually get something on their hunt, they're pretty nice. And they're like, here you go, like, here's some elk steaks, or here's like some deer backstrap. I'm like, this is awesome.
And then what about the install side of things? Do you have a busy season or a slow season for that?
It's kind of the same thing. It just comes in waves. Like I'd never get one call. So if I get one call in the morning about an install, I'll guarantee you I'll have another 2 to 3 in the afternoon. Like they just all come at the same time. And it's pretty steady throughout. I say right early spring when people start taking out their coaches for the first time, if they're not full timers, their batteries usually haven't been maintained throughout the winter if they're still running lead acid, and then they try and go out, but they still need the heater at that time. So, they might not, be taking care of their batteries throughout the winter. And, in the early spring, you're still going to need your heaters at that night. And typically they try and do the boondocking because not all of the campgrounds have opened up in our area yet. So they'll go take it out just to boondock, and that fan will kill those 2 or 3 batteries of the lead acid, and the wife has a cold night. And I usually get a bunch of phone calls right then and there. So usually the first of the season, like when everyone starts getting it out, and then another time is going to be when they're trying to run their air conditioners for any amount of time, and they're not at a campground with full hookups, and the wife gets hot and that camper gets real hot and everybody starts having a very uneventful day. And so then I'll start getting a lot of phone calls then. So it's really just dependent on the weather. I think the weather makes a huge difference in when people are calling me or not calling me.
Yeah, I think most people get surprised by that winter one, but that's what did it for my wife and I as far as getting the Battleborn batteries, is that we were in Erie, PA in the wintertime, and our furnace just killed our lead acid batteries in a single night. And we woke up at like 4 a.m. and it was like 43 degrees in our coach. I was like, we got to do something.
Yep, that's what does it a lot of times. And some people are really not taking on to these 12-volt refrigerators. They're just not happy with it. And that usually sparks up a lot of phone calls now, especially with the Airstream crowd. Some of them are just absolutely thrilled about the 12-volt fridges, and others are like, no, this is not the way to go. Like, I can't believe this. Like, they're very frustrated with it. They're not really taking on to the 12-volt fridge. But I leave my fridge running in, both of the trailers. They're both the Norcold 12 volts, 24/7. And I show them like, hey, like, here's what, you're averaging, when you're really comparing apples to oranges, these are substantially more efficient, and I can get you here and we can, make this fridge run forever if you'd like.
Speaking of ACs, do you also do the installation of soft starts or easy starts when you're doing a build?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Those things are just phenomenal. They work awesome. And I recommend those on just about every single build if they plan on using this system and using the AC with the system. Even just, I think every coach should just have that as a standard. That soft start really helps that air conditioner. But yeah, we install those.
Okay. Yeah, Kenny and I agree with that. We think all the ACs should have those on them. Just really does what it says, softens that start. There's not that huge jolt at the beginning.
Right. Yeah, it's a great system. And I think I've actually seen your video of the soft start install on one of your rigs, I think.
Oh, okay. I'm sure you had a lot of critiques.
No.
No. Well, I think that's all of our questions, Jordan. But before we let you go, is there anything we might have missed or that you would like to add? I just want to say also that we'll put links to your website in our show notes so people know how to reach out to you and maybe see some of your work.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. And no, I don't think so. I think we went over everything pretty well. And I thank you guys for, having me on the show. And it was awesome, getting to meet, Kenny in person at Expo. And I can't believe I didn't go say hi to you guys at the FMCA rally in Tucson when I was just hiding in the corner behind Battleborn's booth. But yeah, it's great to finally link up with you guys. And it's awesome to be on the show. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks so much for taking the time. We know you're busy.
I really enjoyed hearing how Jordan took his love of camping and combined it with his knowledge of the automotive industry to create a business that helped others enjoy camping lifestyle as much as he does and create those lasting memories with friends and family. I think Jordan is really onto a unique business idea by not only letting people try a system in one of his rentals first, but also by coming to you to do the install. It doesn't get much more convenient than that. We wish Jordan the best of luck as he continues to grow the company, and we hope that you check out his website at Echo One Adventures. We want to thank Battleborn Batteries and Wholesale Warranties for sponsoring the show and for their continued support to us and the RV industry. Take care, everybody, and safe travels. This episode is brought to you by Battleborn Batteries. Battleborn Batteries are the best name in the RV and marine industry. These batteries are designed to replace your existing lead-acid batteries. They come in a variety of dimensions and amp-hour capacities. This ensures there's a Battleborn battery that is right for your needs. These batteries are backed by a 10-year warranty, allowing you to get out there and stay out there. The best solution for your battery anxiety.
Whether your adventure is on the road, on the water, or off the grid, Battleborn batteries keep you out there longer.